Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 1st of November, comes to you from London. And a bit more green on the screen this morning, so market's just looking a little bit better. Looking at the energy mix, mixed here, actually probably more red there. So we are just seeing energy prices in Europe falling, and we'll take a look at that towards the end. I've got my alerts screens, and of course I'm looking at my European power and gas report today, first of the month, with all of the power contracts in Europe. This data included in this OTC data included with Updata for our professional and enterprise users, and here we see UK power and gas prices as well. So we're producing that report for clients today. But looking at the dollar index, we start there with the 60-minute is the bottom chart here, the daily and the weekly. So it's my long-term, medium-term and short-term view of the market with the corresponding point and figure targets. We are just seeing the dollar slowing down here, this 110 level becoming quite critical. Of course, no big changes there on the trend, looking at that trend there on the weekly chart, but we are just seeing a range building between 110 and 115, and that 110 level pretty critical. We went to 109.5. We've got downside targets there, so can this run on the dollar keep going? Of course, long term, there's no clear signs yet of an end to the trend. We are still below parity on the euro today. And we see here on the long-term chart we are very bearish on all three time frames with very big downside targets, which we've been talking about all year. The yen sitting at 147. We see Central Bank of Japan intervening at 150. So it'll be interesting to see whether the market can buck the trend and beat them there. And looking at sterling, we are holding at 115.30. So just really stuck around this 115 mark now. Having run, we're holding on to the gains, but it's not looking like we're going to produce much more here. We've got big downside targets for the long term. Medium term, we do have targets into the 119, 118 area, and maybe with an announcement in the budget, we might see a bit of a surge there if the UK is deemed to be more fiscally responsible. Looking at sterling against the euro, we're looking stronger here, holding that short-term bullish trend. The daily chart just got more work to do. Of course, those big downside targets of euro dollar are a concern for the euro, and that sterling chart just looking quite a lot better there. So that's interesting. Bitcoin sitting below $21,000, just can't get back above that level, but we are holding 20,000. But really, it has been a game of flat movement for the last few months in Bitcoin. So really the key thing is 25,000 as the level that we did see a high in the middle of the year. We've got to get back above that 25,000 level in August to really move. The S&P 500 index was down 0.75% yesterday, and the Nasdaq was also lower. But we are still just seeing short-term holding the trend, but we did make the lower low. That is significant there. The futures are actually up this morning. The S&P E-mini is up 0.8%. The Nasdaq future is up over 1%. So it does suggest we will open higher today. And looking at the VIX volatility index, that we're seeing that trending higher as well. FTSE future is sitting at 1.3%. Higher, so that's looking a bit better. Good results out from BP, a major constituent, of course, driving us above that 7,000 level, 7,200. Good upside targets there on the short-term chart. So the FTSE is actually looking better than the US markets, but that is because the oil majors make up such a major constituent part. The DAX in Germany, the future down is up 0.8%. The cash is up just under 1%, and the CAC Courant of 40 stocks is up 1.6%. Just finding cloud support there on that weekly chart. So quite interesting looking at that chart versus the DAX in Germany, where we are at clearly below the chart. The Aussie market is up 1.65. The Sensex in India breaking that 60,000 mark, and most importantly, activating this new upside target, 32% higher. So that market is starting to look pretty good. Interestingly, bucking the trend of most Western markets, just breaking higher out of that trend line there and activating that upside target, some 32% higher. So Indian stocks looking pretty good, making multi-month highs there. So really bucking the trend versus other markets. The Shanghai Composite up 2%, and the Hang Seng, which has really plummeted of late, up 5%. So a really big bounce there, but not enough to change the picture, of course. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. Looking at some of the soft commodities, wheat surged yesterday on the Russian news that they would not respect the grain passage out of Ukraine. So we have just seen that pulling back a little bit today. But the fact is that jump, we're mostly holding it, and we have been transitioning off a base for some time, and the long-term trend has been in place for ages. Looking at gold, we are sitting at 1650 this morning, just really stuck in the doldrums in the 1600s. We are seeing most precious metals a bit higher. Silver just up 3.4%, so looking stronger there. But looking at platinum and palladium, we are seeing rises there, but interesting, when I was doing my global report last night, I did notice palladium really has broken down, having tried to build a base, and so there we see these targets coming in. New upside target on the euro, short term on the on MBP, and I can just go and literally look at those targets at any time in my system from the alerts. So here we literally see we've got a new 90 bar low for German power, for example, really quite significant there. All these images come through with the alert, so significant move there, and we'll look at that in a minute. Taking a look now at the 10-year yields back below 4% there, quite a big move in the US 10-year yield. So that's quite interesting. And looking at tech stocks, of course, we've seen Amazon, $100 is really critical on Amazon. We're just sitting on that level at the moment, but really a case of just looking at the tech charts. So looking at Brent Crude, we're seeing here just pushing higher, quite a big rollover this morning. So that chart is roll adjusted. Looking at WTI, also just looking a bit more bullish. We were neutral to clients. We're seeing US nat gas just pulling back, holding the $6 mark, but really still looking pretty bullish on that 60-minute chart. The daily chart bouncing at 5. We've got really quite a big range now on US gas. Coal has actually been falling quite a way. We actually were bearish this week for coal, and we are just seeing that move to new 3-month lows there, so that's quite significant. Emissions struggling to hold the gains there. We've got some new downside targets kicking in. Mixed picture there, but on the whole, we are bullish above the cloud, hitting daily resistance there on the cloud, quite interestingly. Gas prices falling lower, TTF down 6.7%. MBP, we were bearish on TTF out to clients this morning. MBP similarly lower as well. And of course, we just mentioned that German power chart kicking to new lows. And we've given clients our targets. The medium-term, short-term targets in the 380s were met. We've got the next wave of targets which we've given clients as well. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.